Hey gamers, how's it going? Matt Jarbo back with the second episode of Twisted Joysticks. And that's right, we're going to be talking about Halo 2. So if you listen to Halo episode 1 with Halo Combat Evolved, then great, welcome back to episode 2. If you're just tuning in, you're just checking us out for fun because you like Halo 2, check back every single Friday for more great episodes of more games, more storylines of games, games you may not have played, games you might have played and just generally really liked. But you guys can get a ton of great information from the show. Okay, so let's get into it. Halo 2, okay? November 2004. Who remembers the launch date of that? I do. Where were you? I don't know. Let me know. I want to know. On our YouTube page, on our Facebook. Post it. Where was I? I was at GameStop. I was at GameStop buying my copy. I got off work. I went down there, picked it up. I went to my friend's house. We played some co-op and some multiplayer, and then I went home, and I played it all night long. In fact, I actually, because it came out, I think the same day. No, it came out the day before we had to vote for the 2004 presidential election. So I got off school early to go vote, to go home play for a little bit, to then go to work. So Halo 2 ate my life. But where Halo 2, Halo 2 picks up right after Halo 1. Well, no, not right after. I think a couple weeks after Halo 1. And if you've read the book, let's see, it's Fall of Reach, and then it's The Flood. It's First Strike. So if you've read First Strike, then you know what happens between Halo 1 and Halo 2. And it is a kick-ass story. We'll probably be covering those in another series that we're going to be doing here on KZOM with books and stuff too. So we'll get to that, but don't worry about that right now. And so yeah, Halo 2 was this big game. I mean, it was like, I think 150 million in the first day. Right, which now is kind of like peanuts, but at the time Microsoft was touting it around, going like it made more money than Spider-Man 2, and I'm like, well, yeah, Spider-Man 2 over 3 days made that 115 million, and you made your 150 million, but of course, $6 tickets versus $50 games, but not the point. The point is Halo 2 was, to some regard, like the second coming of Christ for the Xbox system, which is true, because it came out and it was like, we've got new multiplayer, we've got online multiplayer finally, we've got, you guys can command vehicles in the games, you guys can dual wield, you guys can do a ton of really great, intense, crazy shit. So they pushed it hard, and Halo 2 was, now the single player got a lot of crap in Halo 2 because you mix it up with the Arbiter, and then you mix it up with the other stuff. So it's kind of like that. Like, people are like, I don't want to play as a fucking Covenant. I want to play as Master Chief. That's why I like the game. And I agree with that argument. I felt that the Arbiter, who was excellently voiced by Keith David, who's one of my favorite actors, I thought he brought a nice dynamic, alternate dynamic to the story. Although I don't think it really needed to be there. Like, be as a controllable, it could have just been on the other stuff, but then the Brutes were a nice introduction to having some other bad guys, and of course things like that. But really, the game was all about multiplayer. I mean, really, come on here. It took me, again, this is just my admitting things here. It took me about a year to beat Halo 2. I'm not gonna lie. It took me about a year because I got through probably 2/3 of the game, maybe 4/5 of the game. Like, I was very close to the end. And I just kept playing multiplayer, right? Like, I was sucked into multiplayer. So after like 6 months, I went like, man, fuck this. I actually want to go through and beat the game. So I just took my time with it, but I didn't play multiplayer. I had to keep forcing myself to play the single player. And because I think I'd also heard that it ends with that abrupt cliffhanger, and everyone was like, man, this shit's retarded, man. I don't like that crap at all. So there's that. But ultimately, the game was very fun, and it set up great setup for as like it had. I don't know if I want to go and I want to use a Star Wars like Empire Strikes Back reference, but it was kind of like it left you hanging. It had that cliffhanger, and then you're like, I gotta wait 3 more years now, right? That kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But I felt that it was a solid game with you basically paid for multiplayer, and you got like a 10-hour campaign mode to come with it, right? Can we really knock that? I think we all can agree with that one. So basically, we already know the plot, or we already know the setting of the Halo world, as I explained before. So I'm just going to come back into this and go right to the plot. And you guys can just follow along. And Close your eyes and imagine the world of Halo around you, unless you're driving right now, and don't, because I don't want to get sued. So, okay, here we go. I recommend pausing if you go to the bathroom. This is not as long as the other one, but it's okay. All right, so here we go. Halo 2 opens with the trial of an elite commander aboard the Covenant's mobile city of High Charity. The elite is stripped of his rank and branded a heretic for failing to stop the humans from destroying Halo. It is revealed that the Covenant's interest in Halo lies in the religious belief that the activation of the rings would bring about a great journey sweeping the Covenant to salvation. At the same time as the elite commander is tortured by the Tartarus, the chieftain of the Brutes, the Master Chief and Sergeant Avery Johnson are commended for their actions at Halo during a recognition ceremony aboard a Collie-gun platform orbiting Earth. Lord Hood awards the soldiers alongside Commander Miranda Keyes, who accepts the medal on behalf of her deceased father, Captain Jacob Keyes. Shortly after the commencement of the ceremony, a Covenant fleet appears outside Earth's defensive perimeter. While the UNSC manages to repel most of the surprisingly small fleet, a single Covenant cruiser carrying an important member of the Covenant hierarchy, the High Prophet of Regret, flies through the orbital cannons to the city of New Mombasa, Kenya. The Master Chief clears the city of the Covenant. With his fleet destroyed, Regret makes a hasty slipspace jump, and Keyes, Johnson, Cortana, and the Master Chief follow aboard the ship in amber-clad just as the slipspace rupture destroys much of the city. The crew exits slipspace to discover another Halo installation, realizing the danger the ring represents. The Master Chief is sent to kill Regret, while Keyes and Johnson find Halo's key to activation, the Index. Meanwhile, the disgraced Covenant commander is presented before the Prophet Hierarchs, who acknowledges that though the destruction of Halo was his fault, he is no heretic. The Prophets offer him an honored position of Arbiter, so he can continue the fight. On his first mission to kill a heretic, the Arbiter discovers 343 Guilty Spark, who the Covenant view as oracles. Responding to Regret's distress call, High Charity and the Covenant fleet arrive at the new Halo Installation 05, but not before Master Chief kills the Prophet. Bombarded from space, the Chief falls into a lake and is rescued by a mysterious tentacled creature. The death of Regret sows seeds of discord among the races of the Covenant. As the Brutes are given the elite's traditional job of protecting the Hierarchs, the Arbiter is sent to find Halo's Index and captures Johnson and Keyes before being confronted by Tartarus. The Brute reveals that the Prophets have ordered the annihilation of the elites and sends the Arbiter falling down into a deep chasm. The Arbiter is saved by the tentacled creature and he meets Master Chief in the bowels of the installation. The creature, Gravemind, is the leader of the Flood on Installation 05. Gravemind reveals to the Arbiter that the Great Journey would destroy the Flood, humans, Covenants, and everything altogether. Gravemind sends the Arbiter and Master Chief to different places to stop Halo's activation. The Master Chief is teleported to High Charity, where a civil war has broken out among the Covenant. An Amber-clad crashes into the city, and Cortana realizes that Gravemind used them as a distraction to infest the Amber-clad and spread the Flood. As the parasite overruns the city, the Master Chief follows the Prophet of Truth aboard a Forerunner ship leaving the city. Cortana remains behind to destroy High Charity and Halo if Tartarus succeeds in activating the ring. The Arbiter is sent to the surface of Halo, where he rallies his allies to assault the Brute's position. With the help of Johnson, he confronts Tartarus in Halo's control room. When the Arbiter tries to convince Tartarus that the Prophets have betrayed them both, Tartarus angrily activates the ring, and a battle ensues. The Arbiter and Johnson manage to kill Tartarus, while Keyes removes the Index. Instead of shutting down the ring entirely, an unexpected shutdown of the ring triggers system-wide failsafe, putting Installation 05 and all the other rings on standby for activation from a remote location, which Guilty Sparks refers to as the Ark. As Truth's ship arrives amidst a raging battle on Earth, Hood asks the Master Chief what he's doing aboard the ship when the Chief replies, "Sir, I'm finishing the fight." In the post-credit scenes, Gravemind is seen arriving on High Charity, where Cortana agrees to answer the Flood's intelligence questions. And that is the end of Halo 2. See, you can kind of see that the plot was a little bit convoluted to an extent. It kind of was. It's like, Gravemind? What the fuck is that thing? Look at the thing from Little Shop of Horrors. Which is kind of true. No, I mean, it did. It looked like the thing from Little Shop of Horrors, and it wasn't so much like that needed to be there, and it just felt convoluted. It almost like the guys at Bungie had so much writing on them that they kind of wrote themselves into this corner, but they had like 3 years to figure it out with the third one. So we're going to get to that one here in a second. Remember, you guys can always call in and leave your comments, good, bad, whatever, at 818, what is it? Sorry, it's 818-934-1272. And you can also find us on, at KZOMradio.com, on iTunes, on Zune, on Facebook. We're around. I mean, probably even a Twitter page by now. But we're going to be around with that one. So check back out. And if you guys want to be a sponsor for the show, or you have comments, questions, that kind of stuff, you can always email me at twistedjoystick@gmail.com. And I check it every day, so you guys will get a quick response from me. So, okay, now just keep in mind that this episode is brought to you by Monsters vs. Monsters, which is a new card game for kids that combines the fun of war with the addictiveness of a dice game. It's the low-cost alternative to high-cost entertainment. Check it out at monstersvsmonsters.com. I own a number of decks. I play it a lot. It's a lot of fun. All right, guys, this is Matt Jarbo for Twisted Joystick. I'll see you guys later. Bye. I'll see you guys later. Bye.